Would you ever play hide and seek with a doll? Is it possible to conjure a spirit just by having some innocent fun? Can an elevator take you to an unknown, horrifying dimension? Today, we test the believability of Cursed Games Part 2.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
That is right. I don't even care it's Tuesday. Doesn't matter. You can listen to this whenever. I am so excited. It has been...
I'm very excited for this. This is amazing.
It has been... Now, I always amp myself up for any episode. I wouldn't do an episode if I wasn't amped for it. But this is one that like all day long, like you wake up, look at the clock, and then, you know, you're eating lunch, you look at the clock, you're like, okay, only this many hours. Like this is like...
It's like Christmas morning for you.
It's exciting. I mean, I'm very excited to do this.
The atmosphere
episode
is really setting it as well.
We did. Normally we have twinkle lights on. Sometimes we have like one light on and then a candle and everything. Right now it is pitch black in here minus 3 sources of light. We got a candle. We got our Rodecaster's funky mixer lights and then my cell phone, which I'm reading off of, which is new for me. I don't think I've ever done an episode off my phone.
I think you have done 1 or 2 before.
Have I?
Yeah.
Okay. Normally it's my laptop though.
Yes, normally.
But I'm trying to keep light minimal. I want us to be in that headspace.
Yeah.
Also want to say this. This is part 2. Now that doesn't mean I can't think of a movie off the top of my head. Like you don't have to watch the first one to know. Like you can enjoy what we're about to say. There's no connection, but there is a Cursed Games Part 1.
Yeah, I was off my head on COVID.
You were on COVID and we were doing it virtual.
I like to listen to that episode because it's a little unhinged. If you don't hear a voice, you should leave the premises.
Why?
It didn't say why. It said to leave the premises. I assume because you messed up and it's able to be in. I don't know. They didn't say why. You're looking too closely.
Okay. Virtually distant. Yeah, that I always think your unhinged episode was that one and mine was the multiverse.
Yeah.
We were just a little bit crazy. But this is part 2. If you want to check out part 1, there is a Cursed Games that already exists, so feel free to check that out.
Yeah.
But this is new. I'm in my sequel bag lately. We got Creature Feature, now we got this, but I'm super excited. And
wow, I'm really excited too.
I knew this was going to be fun, not to over amp it up or overhype it. I knew this was going to be good because just like when we did Women in Black, when I'm researching this and it's 1 a.m. and I'm putting myself there, I legitimately got freaked out. And that just made me be like, oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. So I got 4 potentially cursed, spooky, paranormal games.
Okay.
Are you ready to dive in?
It's just the games. There's no preamble to this.
Oh, no. It's just game 1. Here's how you play. Game 2. Here's how you play.
Remember to pass the ball. Have a good game.
Yes.
Make sure you get to the touchdown.
Touchdown. Yeah.
My heart is beating.
So the first game that we're going to talk about today is the White Kimono game. And let me tell you, this is a cooler moment for me than what it might seem. This game, the White Kimono game, it is August of 2020. So we've been a podcast for a month. I found this game on some website. I would shout it out if I remembered, but I don't remember what it was. And I found it and I'm like, this is so cool. And I'm just like, this isn't long enough to be an episode. And I've had it in my notes in my phone for over 2 years now.
Wow.
Going on almost 3 years. And then when you did Cursed Games, I'm like, this is my way to do it.
Yeah,
but I'm like,
absolutely.
I wanted to wait, and before, like, I didn't plan it out. I'm like, I'm gonna wait this many months, but you know, it just kind of came up. So I've had this has been on my
locked and loaded for a long time.
This is my personal hat man. Y'all had your hat man. This is my hat man, and it's not even like worth that much hype, but that's where I'm at. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's get to the instructions. There is a warning that the ritual, the White Kimono game, is incredibly dangerous, and be very careful that you follow the instructions precisely.
I assume this is from Japan, yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's kimono.
Yes, that is like the white, long, like if you think of like Samara or The Grudge, like that, very stereotypical.
Yeah.
But like the white nightgownish thing.
Typically you wear that, or from what I know of Japanese culture,
you'd wear a white kimono in your funeral. Like, that's your funeral attire.
Makes sense then, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to be very clear. There's absolutely nothing to gain. Like, there's no, it's not like risking your life for
something.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you do the back rooms. It's like, yeah, if you get in there, cool. Hope you can get out. It's just kind of like, well, what do you get?
Did you tell?
What do you mean?
Did you tell Claire about these games before you did this?
I told her about them about 3 hours ago.
Is she playing one right now?
I hope not. Why?
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
There's no way. There's no way. No, I told her, there's one of these is my favorite. And I told her the other three and she was like, okay. And when I told her my favorite one, her eyes got wide and I'm like, oh, I can't wait. But anyway, we're talking about the white kimono game, right? If you start feeling cold while playing this game, or you start feeling like a heaviness on your shoulders while you're not even playing, when you're preparing to play, if you feel that, it's recommended that you don't do it and you wait for a different night or maybe never. So hopefully your shoulders are feeling loose. You need to do some stretches, but just make sure you're abiding by the rules. Here are the requirements for the white kimono game. 1 player, you. That's it. Player 1. This is single player. Would not be very popular right now with a Fortnite crowd.
Right.
And what's the one that starts with D? Not
Django?
No, Diverse, Destiny.
Destiny?
There's another one that everyone plays where you're different characters. It's like Fortnite, but it's...
Overwatch, Apex?
Maybe it's probably Overwatch. It does not start with a D. I think I was thinking of Destiny, but picturing Overwatch. Anyway, so you need 1 player, you. You need a dark room with precisely 4 corners. Keep your pentagon, your hexagon rooms to yourself. Curtains must be drawn. No exterior light. Needs to be eliminated. If you're in a college dorm room, get those thumbtacks out, get that blanket. The windows need to be covered. You're allowed 1 light source. You need 1 light source. Most people use a flashlight. Maybe in 2023, you use a cell phone.
Absolutely.
But you need to make sure you can quickly switch it off. And a compass, and I'll explain the compass. You got your equipment. Let's get into the game. Part 1, wait until after midnight. So once the clock strikes 1 a.m., 2 a.m., or 3 a.m., your preference after midnight, head to your room and make sure that you have the proper amount of corners and the right amount of darkness. Make sure you have your 1 source of light and your compass, if needed, if you don't know which way your room is pointing, and you lay down in your bed, and this is where it begins. 2, reminder, only your light source can be on. Everything else must be shut off. This is critical. Number 3, to begin the game. Locate the corner of your room. You got 4 corners. Find the corner of your room where the wall meets the ceiling, and you must begin with the wall corner closest to north. That's why you need the compass. So find whichever corner in your room is closest to north, and you start there. And once you locate this corner, begin looking at the other corners of the room counterclockwise, 1 by 1. You do this slowly 3 times. 4, after you do this, cross your arms on your chest and you start a chant. I really don't want to do the chant because I don't think I can pronounce it correctly. It looks like it would be Anbero Kia Mishiro Sawaka. Might not be it.
Okay.
And there was no translation for it that I found.
Okay.
But it says to start chanting this. So you're chanting this, you have your arms crossed on your chest, and in your mind's eye, you have to imagine a long black-haired woman in a white kimono, covered in blood, slowly walking towards you. You have to fight the urge of thinking of anything else, anything happier. No, you have to focus on this woman in the white kimono, their long black hair and blood all over her, walking towards you. And if it's done correctly, she's in the room and she's walking towards you and she's getting closer and closer. And when she arrives in front of you, stop imagining, believe as though she isn't there at all. Uncross your arms, turn off all your lights, turn off your light source so the room is as dark as possible, and do your best to go to sleep. If you followed the directions properly, you'll see a woman in a white kimono covered in blood in your dream. Technically, this means that you succeeded in the game, but there is an additional warning regarding this dream. If you see her, you were successful, but if she comes to you, she comes to speak to you, do not speak to her. Do not tell her your name. Don't let her whisper in your ear. If she begins whispering in your ears, do everything in your power to wake up immediately. If after you've woken up and you look around and you don't see any black shadow or woman lurking in any of the corners of your room, then you are safe.
Man, I feel like we're tempting fate here.
There's more than 4 corners in this room.
There are.
So we couldn't play if we wanted to.
I
It's
know
like,
where north is, though, I think. So
it's like when you have, like, we have the game, but it's scratched. Like Madden. We try to play Madden. Like, we don't have the right equipment.
okay.
Or-
okay. We also have more than one light source.
That's true. We got a PS2 game, but our PS4 is not backwards compatible. Or PS3 is not backwards compatible.
Yeah.
That was the worst. What did you think about that one, Charlie?
That was spooky. What happens if she talks to you? I wonder.
Maybe you just don't wake up. I don't know. Bad stuff, I guess. You know what's interesting is online, people took that chanting phrase and they put it in like Google Translate and everything, and they weren't able to decipher it. And I took it and I put it in Google Translate and nothing came up. So maybe maybe it was the translation of a translation.
I feel like it's lost in translation somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe for the best.
Thank goodness.
Maybe somebody...
Hopefully it's saved somebody.
Yeah, just as a spoiler or like a think ahead, a big part of the discussion is going to be me asking you which ones you think are even remotely real. And if you... I already know the answer, but like if you had to do one, not would you, because I already know you wouldn't.
Right.
And
no,
I don't blame,
not.
and I do not blame you for these. But if you had to do one, I'm giving, it's like in school when you get the study guide and it's the same questions, it's basically just memorization. I'm giving you the study guide.
Okay. Thank goodness.
But that said, let's move on to the second game.
All right.
This is called the camera game.
I think I heard of this one.
It's multiplayer. We're in the 21st century now. You can have 3 or more players, couch co-op. For this one, you need a good length of rope, a glass, an alcoholic beverage, a knife or scissors, a mirror for each person, and 1 camera with flash.
I don't like the sounds of this. It's a lot of equipment.
It's a lot. And don't put one person in charge of it. And if it is, don't put it in charge of the person that's always, forgetting stuff. So you have all your equipment. You're in a quiet, dark room, kind of like this. You make a large circle with the rope, fill the glass with alcohol, and place the glass in the middle of the circle. The players now sit around the circle at midnight and hold their mirrors on their laps. And at no point from here on out is anyone to step within the circle. Now you should all hold hands and close your eyes, after which you should one by one say aloud, "We trust you." When everyone has said it, you all then say in unison, "The door is open, please come in." You say this 3 times and open your eyes, and you won't likely see anything yet, but this is where the camera comes into play. One of the players should pick up the camera and exclaim, "I caught you," before aiming at the middle of the circle and snapping a picture. That player then passes the camera to the next player in the circle, and the process is repeated until every member has taken exactly 3 photographs. It's crucial to remember that if anyone feels dizzy, nauseous, or acts out of character at any time, you should stop the ritual immediately and destroy the camera. And if you're using a digital camera, it's forbidden to preview any of the photos, and you can't look at any of them until after the ritual is complete. When the picture taking is done, you all sit down and repeat 3 times in unison, "It is time to go home," before putting your mirrors face down on the floor and cutting the rope with the scissors or the knife. The glass of alcohol should be emptied outside. Do not drink it. If you have been successful in your ritual, you can look at the pictures and you're likely to find anything from strange orbs to strange blurs to faces and apparitions inside them.
All right. Okay. The part that gets me the most is the acts out of character.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Scribner Hill.
Yeah.
Where the guy in the back seat of the car started talking different voice.
Yeah. Because it's like, obviously something's gone terribly wrong.
It is, it's a really good setup to a game. Like, it's not we're not doing it, so I don't know how I would feel.
Right.
I don't think it's the scariest game, and maybe that's because you're with friends.
It also gives you the power.
Yeah, that's true. But it is a really good setup where it's like, it's ritualistic. You have to, it's like you're calling out to it, right? Like you're saying, we're allowing this to happen.
Maybe a little too much
Yeah. I definitely say probably a little too much. Like, you're pretty much saying I'm allowing this to happen. And I think it's unique that taking the photo, and I'm speaking purely on the structure of the game rather than like, the game itself, but like the taking the photos and then it's mirrors. I wonder if that lends itself more likely to cause like blurs and things.
I'd say portals.
That's right. Because we did a listener submission where, who was it? Where they were saying they put their mirrors.
It's like the Yellow Runner.
Yeah, I think it was the Yellow Runner where the mirrors were facing each other.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah. Because that just makes that infinity cycle.
Out of the two, is this one that you'd consider doing more?
Oh, we can talk about the end.
Oh, that's okay. That's fair. Okay, so this third one is my favorite. It really freaked me out. I was reading about it on Saya and Underworld. That was the website.
Oh,
I was reading
okay.
about this.
What's the game called?
The One Man Hide and Seek.
I know this game.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
I just heard the wind.
Oh, yeah, it is. I don't want to say it's a dark and stormy night. But
It is.
It is a dark and stormy night out. And it's so dark in here. I love it so much. All right. The One Man Hide and Seek, aka One Man Tag, is a game, but also a ritual for essentially contacting the dead. It is straight up invitation.
I like this.
So if you want to contact the dead, but keep it funky, or you're bored of board games and want to simultaneously speak with those who have passed, this is the game for you.
Is keeping it funky, man. This is a little more than keeping it funky.
You say so. But if not a sponsor, I would recommend playing One Night Werewolf, which is a great party game that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. It's a lot of fun.
Probably a lot safer.
Werewolf, wake up. Anyway, on to the One Man Hide and Seek. So this game believes in the idea that spirits can be trapped on this plane and are aimlessly wandering around searching for bodies to possess. And in times of restlessness, they may even possess objects. One of the more famous ones, obviously, like the Dybbuk box, Annabelle, I guess you could say that. So this is the idea of trying to capture a wandering spirit for the sake of a game.
Feels like it's putting a leash on a great white shark.
Fish are friends, not food. Warning, if you have psychic abilities, you may feel unwell or be prone to accidents during this ritual. I think we're safe. All right, so supplies, things that you need. Go to your local Walmart, and you need a stuffed doll with limbs. You need rice. You need a needle and crimson thread, which is red, I believe. You need a sharp-edged tool, which can either be a knife, it can be scissors, anything like that. You need a cup of salt, a television, tube or flat, your preference, and a hiding place, preferably in a room purified by incense. Now the preparation before the game begins. So take the filling outside of the doll. It might be cotton, whatever. Get the doll, take out all the innards, and fill it with rice. 2, clip a little bit of your fingernails and put it inside the doll as well. And when the rice and your fingernails are inside the doll, sew it up with the crimson thread. 3, pour water into a bathtub. Number 4, place a cup of salt water inside your hiding place. It's game time. So now we're on the steps to completing the game. Step 1, wait until 3 a.m., the witching hour. And it is highly suggested before you start playing, and it was in the preparation as well, but choose a good hiding place. And remember, this is kind of like hide and seek, so this is kind of important. So Charlie, let me ask you, if you were playing in your house, by chance, where would you choose in your house?
Got a bunch of closets upstairs. I'd probably pick one of those closets.
Okay.
Yeah.
The problem with the closet is you're trapped, right?
I think you're trapped no matter what.
Under a table, maybe.
I'd be trapped there.
Okay. Okay, so it's 3 a.m. It's late. You have your doll. You have your closet. 2, give a name to the doll so that it can play the game. Anything but your own name.
Okay.
So Charlie.
Yeah.
In this hypothetical game, what do you want the name of the doll to be?
Bridget.
Bridget, okay.
Sure, Bridget.
All right, so step 3 in this game, you get to be it first. So if it were you, or in this case, Charlie would put the doll down, bathtub, say, Charlie is the first it. You say it 3 times. Go to the bathroom, put the doll in the water-filled tub. Next step, turn off all the lights in the house and go back to your chosen hiding place and switch on your television. So it's dark. It's 3 a.m. You've created this doll, essentially.
Yeah.
It's you're allowing something to enter it. It is in the bathtub, and you can't see it unless your hiding place is like really, really bad, like in the bathroom. But you're hiding, you can't see it, you don't know what's happening. You're the first it. This is where we are. So when you've counted to 10 with your eyes closed, you're it, and at least you have an inkling that is going to be where you left it. You go to the bathroom, there it is. You take out your edged tool, the knife, the scissors, and when you get there, you say to the doll, "I found you, Bridget," and you stab the doll with your edged tool.
Okay.
Next, you say, "You're the next it, Bridget," and you put the doll back in its place. As soon as you put that doll down, you run back to your hiding place and you hide. Because now it is the doll's turn to be the seeker. And again, this is a ritualistic game. This is an invitation for something to take the place of the doll.
Yeah.
So here's how to end the game. So you have in your hiding place, in the preparation, you were supposed to take a cup of salt water. So you pour half the cup of salt water in your mouth. You don't drink it there. You keep it in your mouth. The rain.
Yeah.
And you get out of your hiding place and you start looking for the doll. And this was in italics in the notes. And it's like anytime you're writing anything and anything's bolded or italics, it always jumps. And this was just one, like a line where I just kept reading it over and over again because I'm just like, oh my God. In italics in the notes, it said, "It's important to note the doll is not necessarily in the bathroom." And just hearing that, it's just like, like, all right, it's your turn to go look for this doll. And then just warning, reminder, the doll might not be where you actually left it. Just like, oh. And the next thing to remember is whatever happens, don't spit out or swallow the salt water. So while you leave the hiding spot, the reason you want to have a television nearby your hiding place or even have it on in general is the purpose of this TV is to alert you if there's a presence, if there's potential visitors in the house. The TV might start having static. The channels might start changing. Anything odd or unusual with your TV is a sign that something is nearby. And if you notice that before you leave, it's recommended that you do not leave your hiding place for a short period of time. And you absolutely should not leave the hiding place under any circumstance without the salt water. So you're leaving, you look for the doll. When you find the doll, whether it's in the bathtub, whether it's somewhere else, pour the rest of the salt water that was left in the cup over it, and then spray the salt water in your mouth over it as well. And you say, "I win, I win, I win." And this is supposed to end the ritual. And after this, make sure you dry the doll, burn it, and discard it later. Here's a couple notes. Oh my God. Post-game notes.
Yeah. Coach is breaking it down.
Do not stop the ritual halfway. You must see through to the end. This is a dangerous ritual, and bad things could happen if you stop halfway through. Don't go out of the house until you're done finishing the ritual. You have to turn off all the lights. You must keep quiet while hiding. You do not have to put the salt water in your mouth the whole time, but you need it to finish the ritual. If you're living with someone else, you're also putting them in danger, so be mindful of that. Do not continue this ritual for more than 2 hours. For safety reasons, it might be best to keep all doors in the house unlocked and have some friends close by so they can come and help you at a moment's notice in case you need them. The rice, and this is kind of like the after. The rice is supposed to represent the innards and has a role in attracting spirits. The crimson thread represents a blood vessel. It seals the spirit inside the doll. By cutting the thread off, you break the seal and release the spirits. And if you go out of the hiding place without the salt water, you might encounter something wandering around in your house which could harm you in some way. Ugh. What are your initial thoughts?
That's terrifying. It's terrifying.
For some reason, even though this was like way, way shorter, like this scared me more than things with Robert the Doll. This scared me more than Annabelle for some reason.
It's a very scary idea. Can you imagine putting yourself through that? Imagine right now, someone's preparing for this game. Maybe your neighbor.
No.
What if someone next to you was preparing for this and you had no idea?
I'll be doing the opposite. I'll be locking my doors.
Yeah.
So one thing that I thought was interesting that I kind of misinterpreted was that the doll was going to move as a doll rather than the doll was going to move by the spirit. You know, like almost like imagining, like when I first read this, I was imagining like Chucky.
Yeah.
Like imagining the doll. But like in the notes section where it says by cutting the thread off, you break the seal and release the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So when you find it and you stab it, you're releasing whatever you caught from it. Mm-hmm. And now like, it's not like, yes, it's the doll, but when you're hiding, it's whatever you released from the doll.
Yeah.
That is in, like, it's not
and
just.
You have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's not just in the doll, it's in the house now.
Yeah.
But that's like, dude, I heard a noise. I was, this was like 1:30 when I was reading this a couple nights ago. And there's so many cat toys and not cat toys downstairs. And they were like playing with something I hadn't heard. So I heard a foreign noise downstairs while reading this. There was like I didn't move, but like I turned my head to my door and it was like 30 seconds of just like frozen, like, what am I hearing? Try and diagnose. Yeah. But then it was like, it definitely became like, oh, that's a cat
toy.
Yeah. But I'm just like, oh my God. So believe it or not, this is the game that I have encounters from.
It is.
I have two. I have one account from somebody playing this game from Mysterious Universe, and I have another one from Reddit.
Oh my God, let me catch my breath.
Hey Bizarros, are you looking for more paranormal podcasts to add to your library?
If so, you need to check out Obscure Appalachia.
You're going to love this podcast because beyond just the creepy topics, the host Candace is a skeptical believer and looks at how likely a paranormal encounter or urban legend really is.
Oh, that sounds like a really smart podcast structure to me.
Yes, and she also has a very soothing tone, which I think makes it even easier to find yourself engrossed in the story.
Oh, that's the difference. We're not like that. Their topics range from supernatural sleepovers and the haunted Bobby Mackey's Music World,
all the way to National Forest serial killers. Obscure Appalachia has a paranormal topic for you to sink your teeth into.
You can listen to Obscure Appalachia on all major podcast providers or visit them on obscureappalachia.com.
Obscure Appalachia, true stories of murder and the mysterious. All right, so this is the first encounter from Mysterious Universe.
I hope I can make it through these two, to be honest.
I'm reading, I look up and Charlie's just gone. That would actually be really terrifying for me.
Yeah. There'd be a note that says I'm going home.
Sorry, I couldn't make it. All right. Quote, I waited for approximately 1 minute, but couldn't feel any signs which would signify that the ritual worked. After the 1 minute, I started to feel the signs. I suddenly had to take deep breaths to breathe. I realized the temperature had drastically made its way down. The spare room in which I was hiding happened to be just beside the living room where the television was. I swear that I heard the static on the TV get louder and louder. I waited patiently despite the extreme conditions. I started to feel nauseous at this point, and I immediately knew it was time to end the game. I picked up the cup of salt water beside me, took half the salt water in my mouth, but didn't swallow it. Remembering the instructions I read on the internet, I got out of my hiding place with the half cup of salt water and started looking for the doll. Even though my cheeks and my jaw started to hurt a little bit, I still didn't swallow the salt water. I entered the bathroom to check out the bathtub, but the doll wasn't there. I already knew this would happen, but I decided to check it out anyway. The thought that a possessed doll was after my life gave me shivers. I was barehanded, so I decided to go to the kitchen to take out another knife. By chance, if something went wrong, I could use this knife for my protection. I searched all the places on my way to the kitchen, but there was no sign of the doll. I was happy because I finally reached the kitchen at this point, but when I entered the kitchen, I got the shock of my life. The doll was lying on the kitchen floor. The knife, which I gave it when I stabbed it, laid right next to it with an additional knife, which I didn't give it. The doll had found the other knife in the kitchen. I quickly poured the salt water in the cup on top of it before spitting the salt water on top of it as well. Then I said, I win, I win, I win, 3 times before leaning down and cutting the crimson thread with my teeth. I picked up the doll and took a lighter before heading to the lawn. I was successful in burning the doll with a little help from the lighter. The fire stopped by itself when the doll was badly burned and was beyond recognizable anymore. I picked up the heated doll and headed toward the nearby dumpster. I dumped the doll in the dumpster and headed back home. Nothing happened to me because I did the ritual correctly, but please do not try this. I'm too scared to even think about it now. It was just a really terrifying experience. Unquote.
Wow. That's harrowing.
That is like over the top without being over the top. Like it's not like you're watching a doll walk, but it's like
I like that we started halfway through. Like the Marvel Spider-Man. Like we didn't need the origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking with
Tom Holland.
Yeah, I kind of wish we would have saw the beginning.
Oh.
That was actually one of the things where it just started and he was Spider-Man. I was like,
yeah. I like that we didn't see the start. We know the start.
We know it, but that's like when you watch a superhero get its powers is that's why normally the first superhero movie of a trilogy or whatever is, in my opinion, it's the best. One thing that I think is interesting, and maybe it was lost in translation between the two, like the instructions, is breaking the crimson tide, or the crimson chin. That's football. Breaking the crimson thread. It seemed like there's multiple versions where it's like either you break it when you first find it and you're and that's releasing the spirit into your house. Where in this encounter, they broke at the end.
Yeah, with the teeth.
Why would you put your face in your mouth that close?
I know, the thing that was trying to kill you. Also, I wonder how well this thing would burn if you did it immediately after, because it was soaking in water and it's rice.
It's true.
I don't think it would burn unless you have a lot of gas.
He had a wet iPhone he stuck in there as well. And then I had fried rice after.
Yeah.
I ate the
No, you probably shouldn't eat it.
No, you probably shouldn't. It's just like you shouldn't drink the alcohol in the other store.
Exactly.
You shouldn't eat the rice innards of this one. But I think it's interesting because both are really creepy.
Yeah.
It's either you are letting out the spirit and then you hide, and now this spirit is in your home and has the ability to move the doll, or you stab it and the spirit is still inside the doll and it is a moving doll, and then you release the spirit. It's pretty much like you have it, you bite it, the spirit can disappear, and then you burn the doll, and it's like, I'm not burning the spirit, I'm burning like...
It just feels like you're playing with fire before setting this on fire.
Yeah, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing good to come from this.
Right, what's the gain here? There's no gain.
It's betting against the idea that it could happen. Like if you're incredibly skeptical and you don't think, like it's, and I think we did this during Cursed Games Part 1, it's like we couldn't go unbelievable because we wouldn't try it.
Oh shit. You think Parker would try it?
Our friend Parker is very, very skeptical. He does not, no, he's not skeptical. He's a non-believer. He believes in no ghosts.
Yeah.
But like, even so, he's a betting man. He'd be like, what do I win? Like, are you guys going to buy me dinner? Like, I don't...
I'd buy Parker dinner if he does this.
Yeah, I would. Oh, but Parker dies. You're like, oh, no.
I feel really bad.
But, okay. So really, like, you don't see the doll move. The TV's acting up. You leave and you just see this doll that you're alone. No one else moved this doll. And it's in your kitchen and there's 2 knives by it. What do you, like, and you put your mouth, like, oh, that's so scary. All right, this one is a little bit more intense. Let's go to the Reddit. It's from Reddit. Let's go to the Reddit encounter of this game.
Okay.
And it also starts in the middle, so.
Okay, good.
Although they didn't play right, there's 2 of them in this one. I'll just shout out. It's called The One Man, although it's not saying a woman couldn't play. But the one man hide and seek.
The one human hide and seek.
But this is 2 people.
All right.
All right, here is our Reddit game playing encounter.
Yeah. Is it no sleep Reddit?
I didn't check the thread, to be honest.
All right.
You'll be happy, though. This is another one that starts in the middle.
Mid.
Actionable.
Mid-game.
Quote, then we ran out of the bathroom, turning out all the lights and switching on the TV in our hiding room to a static channel. Akane grabbed a knife and left the salt water on the table. Let me just say, Tyler speaking here. There's 2 people playing this game. It's supposed to be 1, but this is Sarah and Akane. Just so you know. Back to the story. We went back into the bathroom, and sure enough, the doll was there, in the bathtub, smiling serenely up at us from the bottom. Arena! Akane and Sarah found you, we yelled. We yanked it out. Akane stabbed the heart and made sure to sever a lot of the red thread before dumping it back in the tub. Arena is the second it. Arena is the second it. Arena is the second it, we chanted. Then we ran back to the family room with the TV going. We each took a gulp of salt water, making sure not to swallow it, then held our cups firmly before settling in the closet. Akane left an open crack of the door because she wanted to watch what would happen to the TV, and this was a terrible idea. To this day, I wish that we would have just closed the door. For the first 5 minutes, we were just waiting. Nothing was happening, and honestly, I felt relieved. But then, I heard the static of the TV begin to change. Without any of us touching the remote, the TV started switching channels. Fast enough that the sentences on the TV began to form what seemed like sentences from the different channels. I will find you. I shrunk back into the closet, terrified. The air seemed to be getting colder. Akane still stayed with her eyes pressed up against the crack of the closet, quietly watching. But we could start hearing footsteps and thumping. Where are you? The footsteps changed and stopped in front of the closet. Are you in here? Then, we heard the most chilling words on the TV of all. Found you. Akane screamed and fell back on the ground. The TV distracted her and she accidentally swallowed the salt water. Right after she did, the kitchen knife which we used to stab the doll was protruding from her eye. The eye that she used to peek through the crack of the closet door. Luckily, as terrified as I was, I managed to keep the salt water in my mouth, clutching the stupid cup as well. I waited until the static returned to normal on the television screen. Akane was sobbing, the knife still in her eye, but she whimpered, "You need to end the ritual." I wandered around the house looking for the doll. It was no longer in the bathroom. I found it, sitting upright in Akane's bed, grinning. I dumped the salt water and spat the salt water on it, and then I shouted, "I win! I win! I win!" Then I grasped the doll firmly and went to the neighbor's trash can and put it in a bath of gasoline before torching it. It was now about 5 a.m. I came back into the closet and I told Akane it was over. So she came out, knife still embedded in her eye, and we called an ambulance. After surgery, it was determined that she would be blind in that eye. Akane lied and she said that she tripped on a knife after getting up early to make breakfast. The scary thing is, even though I ended the ritual and I burned the doll like I was supposed to, I don't think it's over. Akane says she can still see Arena walking around the house when only that eye is open. I keep seeing things out of the corner of my eye as well. I don't know what to do. We thought we did the ritual right, but maybe it's still going on. Some weird stuff has been happening lately. Footsteps outside my door at 3 a.m. TVs changing channels and sound warping. I keep incense burning and salt in my room to keep me safe, and so does Akane. But if someone comes up to you and asks if you want to play this game, save yourself the hassle and just don't do it. Looking up the real directions now, we did a lot of stuff wrong, I guess just from hearsay. Putting blood in it is wrong, and it can curse you. We found out we were actually supposed to put fingernail clippings instead. Akane and I are going to Shrine in a couple of days to help for this Sunday. And if anyone has any advice as to what to do in case of a haunting, please let me know. Unquote.
Don't do blood. Don't do blood.
Well, they didn't know. They thought that's what you were supposed to do. Man, there's one person out there ruining everyone's game. You gotta cut your hand, say a chant, put your blood in it.
That made my stomach drop. That was so scary.
I thought, in terms of storytelling, having the channels speak for this thing, like as it's just quickly flipping,
pretty good. It's kind of like a spirit box.
Yeah, I feel like it like where the first, and this is, I'm criticizing the story, where the first one was like behind the scenes, creepy enough, where the doll moved, but you didn't see it move, but there was two knives. I feel like that is like, that feels more believable, where this one, like, literally she got stuck in the eye. Although, I mean, that's more terrifying. And if this is a true Reddit account story, you know, like really happened, that's both tragic and terrifying.
You know what's funny, though? I could see it being real because it's like two girls in college, right? Two girls in college looking up dumb shit. I don't know, man.
Oh, my God, dude. If I probably would have had a heart attack. Like, when the station started flipping and you were able to decipher what it was saying and like the footsteps.
Oh, I know.
And the thumping. And if this is true, I mean, they are being haunted.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Like, only
definitely haunted. Like
Akane being able to see, quote, arena, unquote, with only that one eye open.
I know.
Like, oh my goodness.
She needs Jesus.
All right, so we are moving on to our final game. There's no encounters. It's just the game again.
Okay.
This is the, in my opinion, fairly popular elevator game.
This is the scariest game to me.
I don't know if it can top the last one, but we will see. All right, moving on. The elevator game, what I think is it's more well known. It's not like super popular, but it's, I would say out of the 4 we've done today, it's probably the most popular.
I think this and the other one are both pretty popular. I agree.
Okay.
But also, this has a very famous story behind it. Are we going to talk about that?
The Cecil Hotel? No.
Okay.
No.
Not in this.
The Cecil Hotel guaranteed will be its own episode. That might even be like a multiple part episode.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot happening in the Cecil Hotel.
Well, I meant specifically the Lisa Lamb.
Yeah, where she ends up somewhere.
Yeah.
But there's also the, was it the Night Stalker or the...
He just stayed there, I thought.
That's still part of the lore of the Cecil Hotel.
That's true.
But you're right, Lisa Lamb, that is... Yes. It is disturbing, weird, and if you see the footage and you know what we're talking about, it's very strange.
It's very weird.
I'm thinking there will either be an episode about her or just the Cecil Hotel in general.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to touch on it here.
Okay. I was just asking.
Because there's no way you'd be able to cover it properly.
No.
But you're right, that is a major thing tied to this game. And it's good that you brought it up so that people aren't like, oh, why didn't they talk about it, or why didn't they mention, or did they know about?
Yeah.
Yes.
We know.
And no. And yes. All right, elevator game. What is it? Potentially some portal to an unknown spiritual realm, alternate dimension. Yes.
Yes.
So what do you need to play? This one is a lot less equipment heavy. You need yourself.
Yeah.
You need a building with at least 10 floors, and you need an elevator.
Okay.
And yes, but you need to be alone. Like, being alone is key. You have to make sure that no one else is nearby. Even if you have to push that close, they close the elevator door button.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta
That's a placebo, I heard. That's not true? It doesn't make it go faster?
I think it's depends on the elevator.
Okay.
There's been some where I've definitely have, because it'll light up and shut. I know crosswalks in some areas are placebos.
Mm.
The pushing of the button, not the idea of a crosswalk. I'm safe walking. Okay. And if anyone gets on the elevator with you at any point in time, except for one particular individual, you go back to square one. You have to do it all over again. So that's part of why everybody who tries this game does it so late at night. That's when you're going to get the least amount of foot traffic.
Yeah.
Just do it. If there was like a 10-story gym any month after January, you could probably do it anytime.
I imagine a hotel is a good option.
Hotels, but you
apartments.
Apartment, I don't know, because if you're going to get people working third shift, or there's probably if you're a custodian, you got to make friends with a custodian. Yeah. Go on Indeed, go on Facebook, find someone who's a custodian of a building that has 10 floors, and when they, like a 9-to-5 office building. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're giving you insider trade tips here. You're welcome. You had to last 45 minutes to get here, but there you go. All right, so you're alone, you're in a building with 10 floors, you have an elevator. Let's get started. Oh, and let me know if there's anything that you don't know, because I'll be interested to hear. Step 1, you need to get in the elevator on the first floor, and then you press the button inside to head up to the 4th floor. This is not going to change much, but this is the beginning of the game. Once you reach the 4th floor, do not get out. You reach the 4th floor, you have to push the button to go down to the 2nd floor. So you went from 1 to 4, don't get out, go back down to 2, and this is when things are supposedly going to get a little strange. When you get to the 2nd floor, apparently it's not unusual for folks to experience disembodied voices calling out to you on the 2nd floor. And they're encouraging you to get off.
I didn't know that.
Pleading for you to take one step.
Ooh.
It's important that you do not do this. Instead, wait for the doors to shut on their own. When they do, push the button to go to the 6th floor. Again, do not leave the elevator when it reaches the 6th floor. Just simply wait for it to close and go back down to the 2nd floor with the voices. When you get back down to the 2nd floor, click the button to go all the way to the 10th floor and then down to the 5th floor. And things ramp up even a step further when you get to the 5th floor. When the elevator stops at the 5th floor, you'll notice that you're no longer alone. You'll have run into what appears to be a woman.
Oh, gosh.
She's going to enter the elevator and stand in the back, lurking behind you. And no, the game's not ruined. You don't have to go back to square one. This is a part of the elevator game. This woman will try to start up a conversation with you, and there's going to be a sense of urgency to her voice, especially if you don't respond, which you shouldn't. She may even mention that there was an accident or that there's some other type of medical emergency happening, despite her very relaxed demeanor when she entered the elevator. Under no circumstances are you to reply. You have to ignore her. Don't glance in her direction, no matter how insistent she gets, and even try to avoid her reflection in any reflective surfaces in the elevator too. According to the game, if you're lucky, she'll leave you alone. But if you acknowledge her presence in any way, things can go bad very quickly. Players have claimed to have been attacked by this spectral woman, cursed at, spat and ranted at. In severe circumstances, some players report that she's followed them to their homes long after the elevator game and will bang on their doors night after night or stalk by their windows. Others have said that she'll visit them in their dreams or haunt their homes to the point of insanity. So, it is imperative to ignore her and let her be. So she walks in, she's behind you, she's trying to get your attention. While avoiding her, your next actionable step in the game is to push the button for the 1st floor. But it's not the 1st floor that you're going to. If you've done everything right up until now, then the elevator should not move down to the 1st floor, but rather up, where it's going to stop at the 10th floor and open its doors. Immediately, you're going to feel like something is off, that you're not really on the 10th floor. In fact, you're questioning if you're even in the same building anymore. And for all intents and purposes, right now, you're in a different dimension. The air is thick and heavy, oppressive even, and the windows are said to have a red frosting from a fiery glow beyond them. If you're brave enough to actually get off, it's said that the woman from the 5th floor will refuse to come with you, as if she knows that this is a horrifying place and that you'll immediately become dizzy and disoriented. If you can bring yourself to look out the windows, you'll see a dead and apparently abandoned city sprawled out before you, an enormous flaming red cross in the distance, sometimes described as having corpses draped over it, as well as inhuman shadows stalking the streets below. The whole time you're observing this new dimension, you can feel this strange woman watching you, her eyes burning into you. If you left, you're likely going to want to get back in the elevator quickly, but that's easier said than done. It will seemingly pull farther and farther away from you as you find the air becoming increasingly heavy and draining, almost like you're walking through water. But do not let this deter or discourage you. You must get back in the elevator. Stay in a straight line and keep in a direct path, and you'll be okay. Also, there is a very important rule that once in this strange dimension on the 10th floor, you are under no circumstances to leave that room or to venture into the city below, because you'll become so disoriented, you'll never find your way back. So once you're back in the elevator, the woman will be gone, and you are to press the buttons in the same exact order that you did before, which would be 4th floor, 2nd floor, 6th floor, 2nd floor, 10th floor, 5th floor, and then 1st. And when you finally press the 1st floor, you may notice the elevator's gears seem to squeal, and it's going to feel as though that you're actually going up instead of down. That's because the elevator is trying to bring you back to the terrifying red dimension on the 10th floor. The only way to avoid this from happening is by repeatedly pressing the 1st floor button over and over until you finally feel the elevator give and start heading down. You're now back to the real world and have completed and survived the elevator game. Hopefully, you didn't acknowledge the woman in the elevator, or else you may spot her later, whether it be in your dreams or in the shadows around your home. And while this is successfully completing the elevator game, there is an important note that even after you finish the elevator game, you need to pay close attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to your environment, how strangers are interacting. If things feel off, or there seems to be, quote, glitches in the matrix, so to speak, you haven't made it back to our dimension. You must immediately go back and play the game again. And Charlie, with that elevator game and the other 3 spooky games, why in the world would you ever try them in your life? Let us head to the discussion. All right, before we get to the discussion, we like to stop the episode and thank our newest patrons on our Patreon. As of the recording of this episode, our newest patrons are Jason and Christina. Thank you so much for joining our Patreon. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our patrons. We also appreciate all of our listeners. But this segment is about shouting them out and letting them know what we offer. Charlie, I would love for you to do the honor and pimp our Patreon.
Absolutely. We have our quizzes that are attached to episodes. We have our social media responses. If you ever go on our Instagram, we have all those fun questions on Monday. Those are the questions that we talk about on our social media response. We also have Do You Believe the Bizarre with our producer, Ben. Really fun game. Check it out on Patreon. We have our theatrical readings, which are highly produced, very polished pieces of media. We have our interviews. Some people send us stories, and we make those into episodes. We reach back out to those people, and we interview them and get more information about the story.
But sometimes we get ghosted. It's true.
It's very spooky. We have our Google Hangouts, which is on once a month. We have our dedicated tiers can join us on Google Hangouts, and we have a conversation for an hour about the podcast, about life, a lot of fun stuff. We really enjoy it. And we also have our Netflix watch parties, which our dedicated tier can watch a movie with us on Netflix through Teleplay. And we have a conversation, lots of jokes, lots of good times, and even a drink dedicated to the movie.
Shout out Bethany, also a patron.
Killing it.
Yes. Good job, Charlie. That was a lot. It is a lot. And we love doing it, but we know that if you join Patreon, that you're going to be getting access to a lot of stuff, and we stand behind it, and we're proud of it.
Absolutely.
So if you like the podcast, you want a little bit more, check that out. But that said, let's get back to Cursed Games Part 2. Ooh, all right, Charlie. I think you were saving some thoughts, some ideas. I have questions, and I gave you the study guide ahead of time.
Yeah. Thank you.
But before we get to like, would you do this, or do you think this is real? Just like honest thoughts about the games, impressions, feelings. Like, what do you think of these games?
Okay, so I do think let's just start from the beginning. Go
Sure.
top down.
Sure. The White Kimono.
Attention. Intentions are something we talk about a lot.
Yes.
They're very important to us.
Yes. Every single one of these has intentions.
Yes, they do. The first one, I think there's less, it's more just a thinking game, and you could fall into it, and you can almost make it happen just because you're thinking about it.
Sure.
You're giving it all that attention. Now, is it necessarily a ghost? I don't know.
You could be subconscious, right? Is that what you're-
Absolutely. It could be you've been thinking about this one thing for, let's say, an hour. It might just show up in your dreams.
Well, sometimes, I mean, the way the mind works, even if you don't want to think of something, sometimes you can't help thinking about it.
Yeah, that's the worst time. Just like Ghostbusters, right? Like, don't think of anything.
Yeah. It's like anytime anybody ever mentions mind reading, it's like everybody becomes very aware of their thoughts.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, if somebody was reading my mind right now, they're thinking about this.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I got to stop thinking about it. Oh no, I'm thinking about it. You know, it's like that.
And I have a tendency to think the dirtiest thing in the world at that moment.
Oh.
That's terrible things.
Steelers Super Bowl. But you are right that if you have a phone, if you have no lights, if you have, like, let's say no windows or windows with blinds, if you're in that room and you're just going to sleep and you have your phone out, because obviously you're going to go through TikTok and Twitter and all that, and you have four corners, you can play this game.
Yeah. On accident, yeah.
I mean, obviously you have to cross your arms. Like there's and you have to know that chant. That chant is probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
But in terms of the other, like needing an elevator, needing the equipment, needing a doll, needing a camera, like this is the one that would be the easiest to slip into for sure.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so the next one,
The camera game.
the camera game. I feel like that one. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna be like, that's stupid.
Okay.
But I think this is the most plausible of the games.
Okay. That was going to be one of my questions. Yeah, because it's not like this doll is going to get possessed. You're going to end up in a different dimension. You're going to create this ghost. Well, you give your thoughts first.
If you do it right, you could get pictures, which we know could happen.
Sure.
Pictures of ghosts. If you do it right, they can end up in your pictures. And you have the mirrors there that set up the portal. You have the rope that sets up like a spawning spot, I guess you could. Yeah.
Yeah. I say countdown ghosts get like 30 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
Come on, keep taking pictures.
Yeah, it makes like this like hellmouth, to quote Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I like Buffy. I think that's a very valid point. I think if the harshest skeptic, right? If you take the harshest skeptic people in the world and say, listen, you don't have to say it's real, but out of these 4 stories, which one do you think could be the most real?
Mhm.
I think they would agree with you. I think it's like, you take a picture and I think they would also believe that it could be true because you could probably devalue the pictures, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you got a blur or you got an orb, you could just probably say it's the way the light's refracting, like there's ways you could probably explain it away. So I think you're right. I think both coming at it from a paranormal perspective and from a non-paranormal perspective, I think it's the one you're most likely going to get an outcome.
It's the most, I think to me, it's the most, it's like a really intense version of a Ouija board. You're giving it all that permission.
Yeah. It feels like the least consequential, the most like, hey, we got our friends together, let's play this game. Where these other ones are like, what are you actually trying to do?
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good assessment. All right, let's move on to the one man hide and seek. Oh my god.
Or unless you're playing with your friend.
Yeah, but then, that's 4 eyes that can be cut instead of 2. Gosh.
I don't think I would do it, but I don't necessarily believe it. I don't know it.
It's a really good story. It's a really it's one of those things where when you're doing it, if you choose to do it and you believe and your mind starts racing, I could just see in the middle of doing this game, you're like, why am I doing this? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
This is like,
I made a terrible mistake.
As like, here's a sports analogy that I wasn't expecting to make. Do you remember when Floyd Mayweather was fighting, was it Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you bet $5 million on Floyd Mayweather.
Mm-hmm.
And you're confident, yeah, he's going to win. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. Like, they called it the heist or whatever. It's, he's going to win. It's like, why do that when there's that small chance in the back of your mind that Conor McGregor could win? And you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where it doesn't have to be that. It could be like, it's like anything you think is a sure bet isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's like, yeah, this sounds ridiculous. Oh, like it's going to possess this doll. It's got my fingernails. Like, no way. But it's just like, is it worth the risk?
Right. It's a huge risk. It's a very scary risk. You could potentially haunt that house or you forever.
We should have a $100,000 Patreon tier. Only one spot. And if you
film it.
if you do that tier.
And you film it.
No, I'm saying us.
No, it has to be higher. It has to be higher than
than 100,000?
It has to be 1 million.
Okay. For $1 million, we have one spot in our Patreon
You
tier.
have to pay it up 3 times.
Oh, God, like the t-shirt?
Yeah.
You have to be a member for 3 months, and then we'll do this game. Was it really $1 million or 3 million?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it for less than 3 million?
No.
Really?
No, Tyler. No, I wouldn't.
500,000.
No.
500,000?
3 times?
Yeah, so that's okay.
Split
Well,
three
Ben
ways.
doesn't get shit unless Ben's right there with us. He's got to be.
I think Ben has to be there.
Ben's the one holding the salt water in his mouth and holding the cup and hiding the
Dude,
doll.
I don't know. I don't know the amount of money, but I don't think it's 500,000.
Okay. Okay. I mean, but that's because it's so scary, and there's just like you're in your own space too, right? Like you're condemning your own space.
We do it here.
Oh yeah, that'll pay for child support. The 500,000. Awesome. But like, okay. The scariest part. I mean, like, there's the hype. There's the mindset, the hype, the hiding. Wondering, did I pick a good enough hiding spot? All that stuff, analytical in my head, freaking myself out. That feeling when you're not it, and you go to the bathroom, and you're alone. Like, if we were together and one of us, we go to the bathroom, whatever. If you knew everyone was taking it seriously, you knew no one else was in the house. You go to the bathroom, and that doll's not there. My entire world, every episode from that moment on is believable. Even fairies. I don't give a shit. If I go in that bathroom and that doll is not there, my entire world is flipped upside down.
The amount of religious hymns I would sing in that moment.
Oh my God. That's the moment, right? Like, if you go in there and it's not there, it's just like, it's done. Like,
rolled away the stone. I'd be singing. Yeah, no, I'd be so scared. Oh my God, I can't even imagine that, dude.
And it's not a game itself, but do you have any thoughts on the two encounters of this game?
No, I don't know. What do you mean?
In opinions. Like, do you have any
I would imagine the first one is a person who I think takes it very seriously, is perhaps a witch or a pagan, has practiced this type of thing several times before, experienced this and said want to go further.
Yeah.
They do it. The second one, I think, is two girls, college, who want to have a fun time.
The first one definitely felt more calculated. Like, they were scared, but it wasn't like, they kind of knew what they were up against. Where I think the girls in the second story definitely seemed caught off guard.
They mess with forces beyond their control.
Yeah, I actually hope that the Reddit one is fake.
I hope they're both fake.
Well, you're right. Actually, you're right. I do hope they're both fake. Like as fun as it. Like, I love talking about this. I can talk about this until I'm blue in the face. I don't necessarily want it to be real. That doesn't mean I don't think it's real. It's just I don't want it to be real. But I hope that their eyes not
gone
because that's, oh my goodness. I tripped while I was making breakfast. Okay, so this is the one I know you probably have the most feelings and thoughts about. The elevator game, $500K.
This one's the scariest one to me.
$500K?
No.
$600K.
You know what's really scary about this, though?
Yeah, actually, okay. You told me, I don't know if it was on the air or off the air. I don't know if we even call it air. But you said that you thought this one, I personally thought the hide and seek game is the scariest. You think the elevator game is the scariest.
You know why it's scariest to me?
Why?
Because I've thought about doing it before.
No.
I've had the
for free?
I've had that intrusive thought, like, I could do it.
This is your white kimono thought, where it's like, it could just happen. But you know what? Like, I would be so...
I wouldn't get out of that elevator. I wouldn't get out ever.
No. How do I want to phrase this? The intent, right? In the hide and seek where you're like sewing it up and they're like, the rice means this, the thread means this. It doesn't feel arbitrary. When you're choosing to go from the second floor to the fourth floor to the sixth floor.
I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
It feels random, and I would feel like I was doing something. Like, let's say I did the game and when I hit first floor, it goes down to 1 instead of up to 10. That's one of the unusual things, right? Like, when that the game worked when you go to 10 when you hit 1. Let's say I do it and it goes to 1. I would be like, did I press the wrong button? Did I do this wrong? Did I do that wrong? Did I read the wrong instruction? Is there somewhere else on the internet where maybe instead of going to the second floor, you go to the fourth? Like, I would be so in my head about it where it just feels like it's not like clear cut. I don't know. It feels...
I think you have to like know the numbers like in the back, like without even thinking about it.
It just feels so random, and like how it could be easily like someone accident. What were we talking about? Where it was so... maybe it was we were listening back to Black Eyed Kids because of Patreon.
Okay.
And it was like how if somebody accidentally it was the year 1996. And in that episode, we were like, if one person accidentally puts 1994, it can mess up all these other articles. Like, what if one person put 4th instead of 3rd? Mm-hmm. And then,
it's all messed up.
Now, that's not worst case scenario. Messing it up is not worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario is doing it, right?
And then, dude, if you hit 1 and you just start feeling it cranky and it goes up to 10.
Well, also as a person in the elevator.
You know what? You're right. I would not be shocked about going to floor 10 if the thing that happened on 5. Okay, if I start hearing voices at 2,
I
might
go down to 1. Just end it.
I can't remember. Are you allowed to stop?
Yeah, you're allowed to stop.
Okay.
Because if someone walks in, it's over anyway.
That's true. It's not this one. It's the other ones where you have to finish. Yeah, if I start hearing voices on 2, I'm massively questioning quitting.
Because you can do the first 2 steps by accident if you go to the wrong
Oh,
apartment.
sure. There's probably a million people that have done it.
Yeah.
Maybe not alone, though. But, you know, if I start hearing voices at 2, dude, I do 5 and a person walks in. But then it's kind of hard to stop.
Yeah.
Because now you have this.
Or you just go to 1 and then you walk out and go home.
And they follow you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like once she enters, you kind of have to finish.
Yeah.
That's like the point of no return.
I don't know, man. It's
that, you know, that is scary, dude.
I had to turn the light on.
Yeah.
The fire was catching your face. I was like, this is
I love that
much.
genuine reaction though, because like you if once she's on, you do not want to leave.
right.
Like that's just bad juju. It's scary. Like her and what could happen with her is a little bit scarier for me than 10. Even though like being trapped in a different dimension is do not want to think about that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't leave the elevator. No way. Like I would be completely perfectly content being like, this is strange. I'm staying in here. I know what I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah.
The biggest outlier for me, or the biggest obstacle, I think would be her.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I'm a pushover, you know. Like if you start talking to me, or like,
what? I don't even want to get into this, but
Yeah.
what do you think she is?
oh, bad,
Yeah,
not
bad.
good. Just somebody constantly waiting for the elevator game. I don't know. It's
Well, do you think it's?
like with the engineers that are creating elevators are like, all right, this is gonna be really good for
I was
people that
thinking
can't go
that.
upstairs, and also people that want to go to different dimensions.
I was thinking like the first person that came out of the elevator is probably not like this would be a good idea.
Yeah, there's only gonna be 3 floors, 6, and 10. Okay, so you said which one you think is most feasible, but let me go back to the actual question I had, which I think I know the answer. But no monetary value, but you have to. It's not like want.
Right.
Obviously, you don't want to do any of these. If you had to play one of these games,
It's not as easy as you think.
really?
I told you I've had that intrusive thought before.
Oh, so you're between elevator and camera.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I've had that thought before.
I would recommend
Several
camera
times.
for you.
I probably would rather do the camera
Have
game.
you thought of where you were going to do the elevator game?
Yeah, I've thought of it.
Do you know where?
A hotel.
Oh, just okay. So you haven't thought of it, just like a hotel.
Oh, there's a hotel in mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Holiday Inn in Independence.
Ooh.
Yeah.
10 floors?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It's close to my house too. No, it's terrifying. I've thought this before. I don't know why. I'm a scaredy cat. We all know this. I'm scared of everything.
it's a challenge though. You like challenges.
I do.
So let's say you get on it. Would you go and you go to the second floor and you just hear, Charlie,
Oh no.
I need your help or something.
I'd leave.
Okay, but that was my question.
I don't actually. You know what? I don't know.
Would
man.
you go past 2?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
I put my noise cancellation AirPods in. Shout out, not
Put on my
sponsored.
war paint, my noise cancellation AirPods. I go up to 6.
And
would
then
say
I
number.
think once the girl comes, there's nothing you can do. You just got to finish it.
Yeah.
That's scary stuff. Scary.
But ultimately, I do think I would rather do the photo game. I don't know. It's a toss up. What about you?
Probably the picture game because it's friends. Like when it's a shared experience. If every paranormal encounter I have for the rest of my life, if I have any, I hope there's someone next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to experience something terrifying or paranormal. And that could be interchanged. Like seeing a UFO is not necessarily terrifying. This stuff is pretty terrifying. But anything like that, I want it to be a shared experience so I can talk about it with someone and be like, do you remember back when?
Yeah.
Or I can't believe this happened, you know? So
you're less crazy.
yeah. So I would definitely want him to do, and I feel like it's also the least severe. Like, oh no, we captured this picture, this person going by, which is still like you're inviting them in. So it's not good stuff. It's not like
it's bad juju.
It's not harmless, but I would go with that one. There's no real way to do like a believability scale for this.
No.
And I think I'm okay with that. So that is our episode on Cursed Games Part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been like I said, I love every episode we do. Not all of them are my favorite. This is one, but I like all of them. you can't love. They can't all be your favorites. This is one that I have been looking forward to. I was excited
special
about.
Baby.
I felt like the energy was here, and I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the stories. I hope you don't play it, but if you do play it, I hope you let us know how we went.
You know what's funny about the elevator game?
What's that?
I'm gonna shout him out. I shout out Scared to Death. I feel like I've shouted out Scared to Death before.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna shout out again. They did a story about someone who was trapped in the ultimate plane after they did the elevator game.
Ooh.
It was very scary.
Imagine taking an elevator in the back rooms. What dimension do you end up there?
I don't even know.
Quick couple announcements. If you're following us on Instagram, make sure you're still voting. We are coming to the conclusion later this month for, on our end, the most believable and most unbelievable episode that we did all of 2022. But you can still vote on Instagram, and y'all can choose the second most believable topic that we did in all of 2022. And also, I just want to reiterate, it's not too often that we talk about other podcasts on this podcast, but Charlie and I both listen and have listened to Obscure Appalachia. We're in the Appalachia area. We used to say, what is the other way? Appalachia? Yeah, we used to say that.
I prefer that way.
I do too. I actually really do. I really do. But then people come at you and say, it's like an apple. I'm throwing an apple at you.
But I'm like, Appalachia.
Yeah, it's Appalachia. But anyway, it is a really dope podcast. And it has that like smooth Ashley Flowers, like this is the way we're telling you a story tone.
Yeah.
And I really dig it.
Big fan of Ashley Flowers.
I actually like that style more than the style we do, but I prefer doing this style. I don't prefer listening.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm gonna quit the show. I'm gonna go join.
I hate believing them. No, I'm totally just kidding. But you really should check them out. I think it's an awesome podcast, and they're just they're newer, and I think it's really good stuff.
But if you like this episode of Believing Bizarre, and you like the episode of Obscure Appalachia, you should go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on Apple and a review. And maybe them too.
Yeah, leave them a 5-star review. Well, first listen. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Listen to it, and if you like it, leave them 5-star and say Believing the Bizarre sent you there.
And if you are on Spotify, just a 5-star would be most appreciated.
There was something you were going to bring up.
Yes.
I asked you.
It was also Scared to Death.
Just leave Scared to Death. They need the help.
I know, right?
Sleep podcast, last podcast on the left.
Maybe one day Scared to Death will do a solid for us too.
The Herd. Go ahead.
It was talking about the gin.
Oh.
The gin.
Oh. We'll give the background first.
Okay, so we talked about gin. One of our favorite stories about the gin was about this story about a woman who got into this car and her feet were backwards and she was evil trying to destroy the man
in the car.
In the car.
Oh. Trapped.
That's actually a thing in that world.
The gin world.
In the gin world, because there's a specific name for it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it means backwards feet.
Mm-hmm.
And they shared a story from a listener that's family member experienced something of the same nature. A woman got in the car with backwards feet and tried to.
When you hear a story and it's terrifying, and then you hear another one similar, and it's like
it just like
and you're buying into it.
Yeah. Oh, I got shit. Oh, yeah. Full body chills. Oh God.
And finally, 2 things. If you want to wear the podcast, represent, walk around your favorite mall or Old Navy or Target or Park or wherever, and let people know without talking to them what podcast you like. We have a bunch of stuff out there. We got hats, we got hoodies, we got t-shirts, we have tank tops, we got duffel bag, we got posters, tons of stuff. Go to believingthebizarre.com, shop our merch. And again, if you want more content, you're enjoying the podcast, and you want just a little bit more, go to Patreon, 3 different tiers. You get more content, and it helps Charlie and I out a lot with things like equipment and different tools and equipment, software that we use for the podcast. It really goes a long way and helps us out. And if you haven't listened yet, go check out Cursed Games Part 1. It doesn't say Part 1. It's just Cursed Games.
Right.
It's like Star Wars. It didn't say Star Wars Part 1.
Dude, I remember when we were filming that. I remember when we were...
Well, it was kind of filming. It was
when
virtual.
we were recording that episode, I was messed up. I was really messed up. I had COVID. Yeah. My brain was foggy. I believed in all those games wholeheartedly.
It's true.
Dude, if I think back to it, I'm like, those were 100% real.
The not the Midnight Man, the Scarecrow one. That one stuck with me.
I pictured it in my room. Like, I was messed up.
That one stuck with me for a while after, for sure. But anyway, thank you everybody so much for listening. We appreciate it. As always, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre,
A podcast as bizarre as you are.
Can an elevator take you to an unknown, horrifying dimension? Today, fuck. That was my fault too.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
We gotta let this go the whole way.
Bro, the fucking candle made a glare in my glasses. I thought it was a head.
Oh.
Fuck you. All right.